Good morning, beautiful people. We'll see how this goes. I'm going to attempt a live video while I'm multitasking because that's what apparently the feminine energy can do. But I must say, when I deliver a message, I'm usually dropping into my masculine. So I'm going to wait for a couple of people to jump on. When you jump on, make sure you say where you're watching from. 1 if you're watching now, and 2 if you're watching the replay. I want to chat about the difference in focus in the masculine and feminine. Now, when I talk about male and female, I'm not specifically, there are more, so when we talk about females are predominantly feminine in their essence, in their sexual essence as their being, right? So they come into this reality as a female and they will have more feminine energy. And that is most women. The same with men, right? You come in and you have this soul's experience is to be more in your masculine. You do have to explore both lots of energy to become a more integrated and whole human, which means there's a balance of internal masculine and feminine that needs to be explored. So a woman that is come through and they're excessively in their feminine for a lot of their life will then spend time in their masculine energy to cultivate that, to have boundaries, to have purpose, to come more direct, to be able to have a career. And then they will bring both the masculine and feminine together so that you can be what is called an integrated feminine, which is free-flowing but able to be in balance. So less passive-aggressive behavior, less victimization, less less of the over talking. Okay, that was a conversation that I had the other day. Was a lot of women in their excessive feminine don't know how to have presence because they haven't been in their masculine enough to listen to a conversation. So an excessive feminine is what has diffused awareness. So diffused awareness, or is a term that Alison Armstrong, I think, uses, which I really, really likes because it explains how the feminine focus is. And it makes a lot of sense for people that are not understanding how a woman and a man function very differently. And if you're in relationship, you will always have one pole, one and one pole. Otherwise, there's no sexual polarity. There's no chemistry. So in every single relationship that you have that is romantic based, there will be someone in their feminine and someone in their masculine. Otherwise, there's no sexual charge. So if there's no sexual charge, maybe there's a possibility you've got, two masculines kind of deflect each other. Two feminine, there's not that real drive. But how women in their feminine actually don't know how to focus. So that's what diffused awareness is. They are in a way where their focus or their attention is outside of themselves. So they're thinking of doing, all right, what's the kids over there doing? They're playing with their toys. What am I doing? I'm putting yogurt cup container lids on while I'm trying to talk on Facebook, while I'm thinking about the dog, while I'm aware of the time because I know that I have certain things that I need to get done in a certain time frame. So my awareness is, when I'm in my feminine, is always going to be on several different things at once. Whereas when I get into my masculine mindset of purpose or business or work, I dropped a chocolate bowl. Not technically chocolate. They are like chocolate dark cocoa nibs. And they are fruits and seeds. Vegan, gluten-free, portion control, dairy-free, refined, sugar-free. Just for your awareness. So the feminine energy can chop and change and flick in and out, and it's very, very challenging for the feminine to stay in a place of focus. This also means that what they're doing is they're looking at their outside focus in their outside world. So they're focusing so much on their outside world that when anything wrong happens or anything that's judged or perceived as a negative, they will internally try and change and criticize themselves. So when I talk about this, this is the feminine energy. We all have it. This is in every single one of us. So it's just identifying when you're in that energy and how much of it you are. And I'm just referring to male and female because that's the majority. So because the feminine energy is so externally focused, and all right, say they've got problems in their relationship or in their work environment, it always goes back, okay, well, out there, that must be my fault. So I need to fix this. I need to change this. It's me, what did I do wrong? And how do I fix it? I'm the bad guy or I'm the wrong one, right? So that's how, and you'll see it if you really look with a lot of women is in something simple. Like if you ask a woman and a man, and it's so funny because I do it with my men's clients a lot. I have a questionnaire and I just do yes and no answers because I know how the brain works for most men. And when it comes to massage, for instance, if I ask one of my massage clients that's a female, do you have any trigger points on your body or areas that you don't like being touched? You'll get a list this long, right? They'll be like, oh, I don't really like this, or this might make me uncomfortable. And you can see them start to contract as they're communicating that. When you ask a man that same question, they'll be like, no, you can touch me anywhere. Now, that is not just because I am an attractive female. That's genuinely how men see themselves. They are in a level of what is masculine or autonomous focused. So how we've just talked about women being externally looking outside of themselves, what we have is the opposite of that. So men are thinking about themselves in what they have to do and what they have to create and what they have to produce in this protector, primal, instinctive space. Now, that is how their focus is so much on the autonomy of single-mindedness, and this is really funny because we always think each other function the same way. You're like, oh, a woman always thinks a woman will think a man is a hairy woman. That's something that Alison says, and that makes me giggle because we do. And men actually just think women are crazy. And there's nothing wrong with that because there is truth in that perception. And it's understanding and having the curiosity of both the masculine and feminine and how they play out inside yourself and in your world with the people that you're relating with. So the masculine's focus is more internal. It's purpose orientated. It's very self-driven, and it's about the primal instincts of being a provider, which means that when things are not working in their reality, in the external, they start to actually point the finger outwardly. So it's somebody else's fault or it's something else's fault. Okay, so it takes bringing these energies in together to be able to reflect, receive. You have to cultivate both energies. Otherwise, there's always, I'm so internally focused, so anything that's not here is out there's issue. So when you're in that space, or you'll have a really strong inner critic that's like, anything out there is not working, I must be the problem. So that will give you a good indication of where you sit. Are you mostly blaming your external world or other people for the issues in your life or in your relationship or in your business? Are you always blaming products or clients, or like, where are you sitting with that? And that will give you an indication of where you are sitting on the masculine and feminine in certain situations. But it also is, it's funny because in relationship, you'll have a female will always try and criticize a man to get them to change, because that's how the feminine works. The feminine is so out external, thinking about all these different things at once. And so if there's some sort of criticism, women take it super hard, right? Most women or men in their feminine will take it really hard and really personal, because anything that's not working there, they have then decided is their fault. It's their fault. And so they have to change it. They have to change themselves. So when a woman thinks that they're with a hairy woman, rather than realizing they're with a man that's in their masculine, they will criticize their men or demasculate them to think that that will be the thing that will change them, because that's how a woman functions, or that's how the feminine functions. And it's not true, obviously. If you demasculate a man, he'll either rage against you, or he will shut off completely, and he won't feel safe and secure, and you won't get any vulnerability from him, which kind of defeats the purpose of what you're trying to create. Most women or feminine energies are trying to create union and connection and togetherness, and they're going about it wrong. So, not that there's wrong and right, there's only gained awareness and different choices. So what we then see is that women tend to think that men, with the way they function in that masculine, women tend to think they're just ignoring me. They know what's wrong with them, and they just don't want to change, right? Or you may have thought that about someone in a certain situation, in certain areas of like, well, clearly they should be able to see this and they just don't care and they don't want to change it. It's not actually that. It's the autonomous viewpoint that the focus... Of course the sound is cut out. Has it really? Hang on. Let me know. Tell me if the sound come back, please. Hello? Because my brain, my feminine brain will actually go off topic, and I'll completely forget what I was saying. So let me know if there's any sound. If there's no sound, and I'm talking to myself, that will be okay, and I'll just finish the video. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You cannot hear me? No one can hear me. All right. So if you can't hear me, that's okay. It will be my lips moving nicely on their own. But what that means is that you need to understand that when you're in that masculine energy and you are in autonomous focus, it's not the denial to see. It's that they actually still don't see. So they physically actually don't see the things about themselves, which is why they need a broader, diffused viewpoint to look at a different level of receiving. So this is where the masculine and feminine need to work together within themselves and in relationship. So instead of assuming that this person knows what's wrong with them and you'll just criticize them, or you'll just expect that they understand it and think, well, they just don't want to change it. Understand that there's a different perspective and there's a different viewpoint on life, so you can't actually see the same. And you must go into that masculine and feminine to see a different perspective. And this comes out in little ways often with men that I work with with my clients, is that they actually do not see, they have a level of tunnel vision when it comes to things, when you're in that masculine, of only being able to see this way, because that's how the masculine is. It's one way focused. So to see that there could be actually things on the peripherals and in the outer that could be causing this issue within their environment or their experience, there needs to be their own feminine being cultivated, or the willingness to have their feminine in their life bring, with love and compassion, a different perspective, or ask a question to sort of open up that space. So I hope that there was some sound and you enjoyed this video, and understood a little bit more about how the masculine focuses. They are autonomous or single focused, so anything that's not working in life is outside's fault. And in the feminine, they are so externally focused and community focused that anything outside in their reality is their fault. Okay, so this is in an imbalance in all people if we were sitting in one of these spaces and not starting to cultivate and integrate together. And why relationships and so many different challenges come up, because we expect people to see what we see. We don't see. We all have a different lens to life. We all have a completely different perspective to life. And the only way that you can have an absolutely beautiful relationship and union with a partner is by understanding how they function, understanding how you function, so that you can then communicate these things to each other, so you can share that you see the world in this way, and this is what happens when you feel this, when stuff goes wrong, this is what you process internally, and actually being vulnerable enough to share that and asking how another will experience life and come into a bit more balance and gain a new awareness, and see how the person that you may be in relationship with does beautiful things, and maybe there's a level of acceptance that comes out of that, and you can cultivate a little bit more internal balance just by having the curiosity to understand both of these energies. I love you. Have an absolutely beautiful day. If you enjoyed this video, please put some comments, tag a friend. If you're interested in any more of the masculine, feminine information, or duality and polarity, if you'd like to do a in-person workshop, let me know. I'd love to know if there's couples out there that would like to come into some sort of closer togetherness through understanding each other from this space. If you are interested in learning for yourself, let me know. I'm not sure if I'm sort of stepping away from doing the online stuff, but I also feel that group work would be really important for people. So whether or not I do a online series on masculine and feminine relating, and my podcast is in the development stages now, and that's called Finding Union. That's going to be on Spotify Music, I think, and YouTube. And that is around finding union in relationship, but finding that union within through understanding your own masculine and feminine, and coming into a place of wholeness, so you can be a whole human loving another whole human. All right, I love you. Have a beautiful day. See ya.